Hi, my name is Lainey Koval. I'm 18 years old and I'm graduating from Schuylerville High School this year. And I'm living on a dairy farm in Saratoga, New York, Koval Brothers Dairy. And I'm also the Saratoga County Dairy Princess this year. We keep our calves in a barn and also have some in hutches. And they each get their own individual pen for the 2 months where they're being fed milk. And that's so that there's no like cross contamination between each calf, so they're not in contact with each other, able to get each other sick because they're at a very delicate age, and we don't want them to get any sickness that could put their health at risk. So I mainly help with our herd work at the farm. So I'll help alongside our herds person, and we have a few days every week where we do specific things for our cows. Like on Monday, we do something called herd check, where we check to see if our cows are pregnant or if they have any issues that the vet needs to help with. And we just keep very detailed records of our cows to make sure they're well kept and healthy. And then on Thursdays, I come and we catch cows to have their feet trimmed, so they get like a pedicure, and we make sure all our cows are healthy with their hooves, and they get trimmed twice a year just as a way to keep them going. Yeah, at our farm we have a double 11 parlor, which means that 22 cows can be milked at a time. And I think it takes around like 5 hours to milk all 450 of our cows. So we milk twice a day. So they'll start at 4:30 in the morning and end around 10:30. And then they'll start that again at 4:30 p.m. and then they'll end around 10 o'clock at night. Yep, each type of cow on our farm, like age-wise, gets different amounts of nutrients in their feed. So like a dry cow would get different food than a milking cow, and a different ration than heifers too, because dry cows are about to have a baby, so we want to give them certain nutrients to prepare them for that. And the same goes for milking animals. Like they need a lot of energy to produce a lot of milk. And then yeah, heifers get a different diet as well because they're not producing milk and they don't need a ton of energy. We breed our heifers around 1 year old, and then that will set them up to have a calf just before they turn 2. So once they have a baby after being a heifer, we'll let them milk for a while, and then around, 60 days after they're milking, we decide whether or not we want to breed them again. And we'll set them up on a cycle to make sure that they're in check for we call it ov sync, so their system is syncing and ready to be bred. So then they'll be pregnant for a while, and then 2 months before they're due to have a baby, we'll dry them off. And so they'll stop milking and just have like a vacation period type of thing where they're not producing any milk, but they're just getting ready to have another baby. So milking cows eat around 100 pounds of food each day, and they're fed corn silage mixed with, so they eat a TMR, which is a total mixed ration, and that's usually corn silage, grain, and then other minerals and nutrients that we add depending on what our dairy nutritionist has came up with for our feeding recipe. A cow drinks between 30 and 50 gallons of water each day, which is, if you like picture it, it's kind of the size of a bathtub. recently got mattresses installed also to help save sand and also keep them more comfortable. And then, like I was saying before, we get their hooves trimmed twice a year.
So our dairy was started by my father and uncle in 1942, and they milked a few cows on a farm right around the corner from where we're at today. And since then, they purchased different farms, and where we are today is one of them. And we milked more cows. And when I was a kid, we milked about 60 cows in a stanchion barn. And in 1980, my father decided that he had 3 boys, they'd probably keep milking cows, and built a freestall. And we moved into that freestall in 1980, and that's where we're at today. And it's the same milking parlor we're using. That milking parlor, we've expanded it twice and made it quite modern. It's a very modern, nice milking parlor for our workers and us to work in. So that's some of the things that we've done. And along the way, we've rented lots and lots of land, and we farm somewhere just under 1,200 acres. In the stretch of land is from the Monument in Schuylerville almost to Mechanicville, scattered, through people's backyards to larger stretches of farmland. It's quite a challenge. Now we make all our dry hay, all our own haylage and corn silage. And some years we make some corn grain, and other years we choose to sell the corn that's left over to another grain farm. But we only purchase in some cornmeal, and the protein that we purchase is mostly soybean and canola. There is, but most dairy guys try to consume as many acres as they can, because this area it's risky. We lose land to developers. It's hard. So we like with us, we have a lot of acres. We're very sustainable. We're heavy grass. Out of the 1,200 acres, we have just under 600 acres is grass, and we use cover crops. We really believe in erosion control. Well, there's 2 of us that run the dairy, and we employ quite a few people. So, we're supporting the 2 families. My mother is still in the farmhouse. She's retired, and we have 5 full-time employees and 3 or 4 part-time employees. So we've shipped to Stewart's my whole life, a full generation, like 35 years. We're their largest dairy. They've been a great partner for us. It's easy for us to be proud of the product. That they take our milk and they put a great product on their store shelves. It's something that we enjoy. We can, as we travel through the community, it's easy for us to, tell people that we produce for Stewart's, and that's what they need to buy. It's been very good for us. I was young when we switched to them. They were just a small business then, but boy, it's they've got quite a professional business.
I'm Liam Hanahan. The farm is Turning Point Dairy. I've been on the farm now. I graduated high school in 2014, went to college for 2 years, and returned after that in 2016. My role is just in general. There's my brother and my cousin are also on the farm as partners, and we kind of all work together, keep everything running smoothly. Me and my brother more on the cow side. Justin, my cousin, is more on the shop side and the field crew. To me, it was always busy, and it wasn't like necessarily scheduled jobs that you had to do or like an obligation. It was more, I'd get home from school and I'd go right up to the farm, and it was something I wanted to do and be involved with. And I think that goes for my brother and my cousin as well. We spent as much free time as we had when we were younger on the farm, whether we were working or fooling around, but we spent almost our entire childhood growing up on the farm. Well, to me, it's a great opportunity to do something I really enjoy, but also am able to feed people and produce a great product at the same time. And what I really enjoy about it is the variety. You could come in the morning and have to deliver a calf, and then in the afternoon you could be in a tractor trailer trucking feed. It's the variety that keeps everything interesting, and the challenge of it is just it keeps everything interesting. Yes, actually quite a few I could name, but they all have such different personalities and stuff. It's kind of cool to get to know them. But the one that comes to mind was 5207, and she was the biggest cow we've ever had on the farm, and she was very friendly. Everybody on the farm just loved her. When it first started out, I believe it was a vegetable farm. They would grow potatoes and horseradish and things like that. I'm not sure exactly when. I believe it might have been with my grandfather when he started to bring dairy cattle onto the farm. But I think for the majority of the years, it's been a dairy farm. So like I said, me, my brother Nick, and my cousin Justin were the fifth generation coming up. We're taking it over from my father Pat and Justin's father Marty. The farm was established in 1913. It's been a dairy for a majority of the time since. My father and uncle, they took over the farm from their father, and when they did, they were milking about just over 100 cows back in the 80s, and throughout the 90s, they grew it to be about 300, and we added our current 2 freestall barns in 2005 and 2012, and those 2 barns are what we're using today to house the milking cows. So our milk goes to a processing site, basically is more or less who we sell it to, and they'll package it, and they will either it'll either stay liquid milk, or it'll be used for ice cream, yogurt, cheese, butter, or any other product. And it goes to a lot of the different brands you'll see in the dairy aisle at the grocery store, or that restaurants will take in and use in their products, or ice cream shops will use. So we ship to a pretty large distributor. So some of those bigger brands is what we are part of. Right now we're milking 950 cows, and we've got many calves and heifers on their way to become those milking cows too. On average right now, any given cow out there will make about 80 to 90 pounds. Every day we make somewhere around 75,000 pounds. So our parlor has 2 sides with 12 on both sides. And the reason most parlors have 2 sides is, well, one side's getting prepped, the other side is milking, and vice versa. So we have about an hour of downtime, which is used to make sure everything is sanitized in the parlor. We milk 3 times a day. So they start at 4, noon, and then 8 o'clock. And after every milking, there's about an hour to wash up. So, right before they start, all the machines are all cleaned and ready to go. Once a week, we'll usually meet with our nutritionist, and all the owners and managers will walk the facility and the cows. We'll look for problems to fix or improvements to make, whether it's a change in the diet or improvements to make the cows more comfortable. And then a lot of times we'll spend the rest of the week making those improvements or working with our employees to make those improvements. One example was we've always seen the cows got a little hot in the summertime, and we decided to install sprinklers. So the cows have a nice sprinkler system in the summertime that keeps them nice and cool. One of the big ones recently was the sprinklers that I had mentioned that go on, I think it's above 75 or 80 degrees. They'll start cycling through. Yep, the calves are in both. And it's kind of half and half. Half our capacity can be in the barn, half can be in the hutches. And depending on weather, we can kind of tweak that a little bit. And it's kind of cool to compare to, see, which the calves prefer. Start getting bred at about a year, as long as they're mature enough physically. We make sure they're big and healthy first. And that they can handle a good pregnancy. The same as humans, pretty close. They're about 280 days or so. Corn silage is just the whole corn plant. It's all chopped up and stored in the bunk and fermented. We farm about 2,000 acres roughly of crops. The one thing I did want to add is how important what Sundae on the farm does. And I guess I'm happy that we're able to be a part of it. The public doesn't see a lot of what goes on behind the scenes, and it's great when we have the opportunity to bring them into our world, and have us go into their world too. That communication is key, I think, especially now with some of the distrust that can happen in the food world. It's great for Sundae on the Farm to be able to link the consumer with the farmer and show people where their food comes from.
Okay, yes, good morning. My name is Chuck Curtis, owner-operator of Willow Marsh Farm here in Ballston Spa, New York, Saratoga County. We're a diversified farming operation, being that we still milk cows for dairy for our own use. We raise beef and pork as retail and wholesale, retail through our store, wholesale to some restaurant accounts. We're also processing our milk into products such as cheese, drinkable yogurt. Those are the two main things right now. And we're retailing that through a farm store, which we have here on the farm, as well as some restaurant accounts in the area. Basically, almost 200 years ago, this 136 acres is a 3 tracts that was put together, back in the early 1800s, I believe, and then the Curtis family, my family, purchased it around 1840, 1830, something like that. So, and then it was, just your basic small farm, dairy, and then it grew a little bit, and we haven't purchased any more land. I'm the fifth generation on this farm, comprised of 136 acres, small by comparison, but it's enough for us. We decided to take this farm and go in a different direction several years ago when we saw that dairy was just not working for small farms as ours. So we decided to go into a different direction with it, and that's why we are diversified. We do raise all our own crops for all our animals. We still raise some corn. We do bale hay, and we do chop hay as well for haylage. and that is fed to all our animals. The only purchase feed on the farm is a very small amount of dairy concentrate for the milking cows. Every animal, it's important that we tell this to the public. Every animal on the farm, beef, veal, pork, etc., every animal on the farm does get grass hay at some point, or grass in the form of pasture. So everyone gets grass virtually all year round. That's an important thing for the public to know, because there's a great concern out there for grass-fed animals. And in doing so, again, on a very small basis as we are right now, we've actually found a way to actually make a little money on this. And it's my belief that every dairy farmer should be entitled to some of this retail or wholesale money. As we know, most of this has gone on to the larger processors, and they're all various regions. We are right now in the process of, we're actively constructing an on-farm facility here, a creamery in effect, that we will be processing. And we have a goal at by the end of the year, we'll be processing here on the farm, which will allow us to step up our volume. What we found out with the success of the small amount of product that we're making, there are many businesses out there that have reached out to us for our product, but we're just unable to make that at this point because it's a small processing in Troy where we're working now. When we get moved in up here at home, this will be much more efficient, much more conducive to larger scale production. Right now we're very tiny. We're only milking 20 cows. Mm-hmm. We don't feed for high production. We feed for high quality and high components. And the high components, we firmly believe, are what makes the product that much more special. It just has a very high quality taste. It's just a much more accepted product. Mm-hmm. It's what we're getting back. The components are the butter fat and the protein. And the butter fat, our butter fat will run about 4.5 to 5.0%, which is very high. The protein will run about 3.4, 3.5, which is very high. And that is a result of not feeding for high production. So the butter fat and the protein are actually what gives the dairy products a flavor. And those are the good fats. Those are essentially what gives it the taste, the sweetness, etc., or however you want to do it. All of our products that we make, we do not adjust for a standardized butterfat percentage. We received our ag conservation easement, would have been about 8 years ago, from the state through their PDR program, which is PDR's Purchasing Development Rights. So this farm, 134 of the 136 acres is preserved under the land grant. To me, what that does is it actually, I think in our efforts here, will make this farm more valuable, as something for me to sell at some point down the road, to anyone looking to start in on this business, because we know it'll only be here, and there aren't many farms. It will always be here, and there aren't many farms in the area that are doing this. There are some, but I think it's so important for the public to understand that these farms will always be here, and it makes it easier for an upstart or a first generation farmer or whatever to come in and actually purchase the land now that it's under this land grant at a discounted price. And they'll actually know that there is a way to go forward and run a successful business. What I really believe is happening in the community is the more farms that do what we're doing, like processing or specializing in a local food movement, the more of that that's out there, more little stores, small farms, et cetera, in all these little communities, it makes it more prevalent of our local products being available. I'm not looking to be the only farm doing this. I constantly am encouraging my neighbors to do this, other farmers to do this, so that the public knows that there are several little farms that they can go to. Some have stores, whatever, to buy their products, to buy their meats, etc., eggs, chicken. It's everything. And so the more of these that are available in every community, the more that the communities and the residents will accept this and buy from the local farmers.